Aboriginal peoples have long known that a mix of crops is a really good thing, and there's what's called the three sisters, which is corn, beans, and squash. What I'm holding in my hand here has an incredible amount of life in it. And there are more than 6 billion living organisms in one handful of soil.
Now that's what I call a beet. Hi, I'm Coleen and welcome to today's show. This past spring, I became a gardener. Over the course of this series, I've learned how to plant a basic vegetable garden here in my backyard. And you know, this whole gardening thing has really grown on me. So it was no surprise that a few months ago, when I arrived at work, I did something very different. This is where we work, an old typewriter warehouse in Winnipeg on the Canadian prairies. If you see the inside, it's a nice space. Look at this, 5 to 1, and everything looks like we were all organized. This is us setting up for our harvest feast that we will feature in an upcoming episode. It was a busy day with various people cooking up produce from our Vitality gardens.
Oh, now the napkins are they gonna clash?
So the inside of our office is okay, but outside, it's not okay. How would I describe it? The former loading dock area resembles a scattered trash bin. Even the birds are making do. It needs major work. We rent the space and I wonder what really can be done. But in between the rubble, I see beauty. The more I look at it, the more I realize this could be a garden, and I start to brainstorm about the possibilities. I start off thinking big. So this is the back area of where we work, and these doors right here are the doors to our studio where we've actually shot exercise segments and yoga segments. And I don't know, doing this whole gardening show has made me think in a different way about the earth and about space. And I came back here a couple of weeks ago and I thought, you know, if we cleaned this up, maybe we could do something. And then the plan is to actually build raised beds here and put vegetables in. But the bill for my big plans turns out to be thousands of dollars. But I'm not discouraged. The cleanup crew is on their way, and I'm positive that once we clear this area, it will all fall into place. The cleanup crew looks a bit apprehensive at first. After all, it is a big job. The morning wears on and it's starting to get hot. So we needed an extra pair of snips, so I went home and got some, and I'm gonna start just cutting down these just a little bit lower so we can just see if there's any needles or anything in the bottom before they start digging in here. So I'll just sort of take off the first layer. But we're making progress. Some teachers from a nearby school drop in to find out what's going on.
Wow, you're cleaning things up, eh? Beautiful, big tree. That's a cottonwood, isn't it? Yeah, gorgeous.
I think this is great. I mean, it's a beautiful backyard. And how many backyards do you think you would have between these kind of structures? So I think it's very creative and a wonderful idea to make use of some space that is, well, it was pretty run down.
I mean, look at this tree. I mean, if this can grow for 120 years, I'm certain you're going to get some good growing potential in here.
I actually talked to someone. We're going to do a tree pruning segment on Vitality Gardening, so maybe he'd come in and take a look at this tree.
This would be perfect, because if you cut that back a bit, you've got a beautiful canopy.
As the day wears on, the power tools are pulled out. We have a lot to do, and we've been at it now for more than 5 hours.
That sounds great.
We're almost done cleaning up what feels like a few tons of garbage. But the way I look at it is it's just another day of gardening, and hey, the payoff is incredible. Coming up next, my low-cost solution to our workplace garden. Welcome back. We're giving our downtown office a big makeover. We're cleaning out the neglected loading dock area and turning it into a garden. After 6 hours of hard labor, it's done, and now we have to figure out what to plant here. And oh, did I mention we have very little money? We had originally wanted to build raised beds all along the loading dock and put in vegetables, but the cost was thousands of dollars, so we had to rethink things. But I'm still optimistic. I decide to hit some thrift stores to look for things we can plant vegetables and flowers in. At one of the stores, I find an old chest, and it only costs $12. One of our gardening advisors, Audrey Logan, is on hand to help out with the planting. She likes the idea of cleaning up this space. Before we get started, she lights a smudge stick made from wormwood to keep the mosquitoes away. And to start things off, there's nothing like a good truckload of dirt to kick things off. I never thought that something like this would excite me, but it does. A year ago, I would have looked at this and saw a pile of dirt. Now I see a heap of potential. In addition to that old trunk I found, I also found a dresser that had seen better days for really cheap too. The idea is to use the drawers to plant lettuce in.
Will you cover all sides kind of thing?
Look at that. That looks nice.
Yeah.
And the rest of the dresser is going to make a nifty planter when you flip it on its side.
Whew. And there we go. Here's another planter.
I picked up some flowers at a bargain price since it's late in the gardening season. Audrey is going to show us a watering trick using old water bottles. It's simple. Put 3 holes in the cap, fill the bottles with water, and insert upside down into the pot. The water will be released slowly and keep your flowers moist. Pretty handy when your pots are out of reach like these ones are.
Couldn't find a ladder, but this should work. Gardening muscle. So, yeah, I'm gonna hang the first one there, I think. Ah! Oh. There we go. That'll be nice.
That looks amazing.
Yeah. And once that trunk goes in that corner,
Wow.
wow, to die for.
I am so happy. That just, and that's 2 pots of flowers that I got for 50% off because it's July.
Yeah.
And what a huge difference that makes.
Yeah. Sometimes just patient, wait till the sales go on, and you can still have the beauty and enjoy it without having to pay double the cost.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Auntie always said if you want
I was also able to buy lettuce seeds, flowers, and some shrubs to put along the loading dock for a great price too.
munch out here in the nice quiet of their own place.
And here's this trunk that I got for $12 at a thrift store.
As I put our little treasure chest into place, I can see our garden starting to shape up already. I grab a shovel and start moving soil into our planters. You can use a variety of things for planters: old wash tubs, discarded cooking pots, even the plastic containers that kitty litter arrives in. Just as my arms are breaking, some reinforcements arrive. Friends to help put the rest of the plants in.
You got mussels?
I decide to go and start digging the holes for the shrubs.
Put the smaller ones, and then I'm gonna go and get.
I was able to get these tires for free. Any garage will be happy as I learned to have you haul their junk away. We're gonna stack them up and use them as planters too. Audrey has brought along some tobacco plants for our new garden. So at the end of the day, how much did this all cost? Here's a breakdown. The plants and flowers were about $75. The cleanup, $300. But you could always do it yourself and reduce this to $0. The seeds were $4, and the tires, as I just mentioned, were free. The planters, the older dresser, and the treasure chest cost a whopping $23 at a thrift store, and the soil was about $100. So altogether, this cost about $500. Now keep in mind, if you do the cleanup yourself, you could reduce the total cost to under $200. A couple of weeks later, a disappointing discovery. Someone has toppled over our planters. This means we have lost our lettuce and our peas. Oh well, next year we'll try something different. Maybe we'll try planters that are heavier and not so easy to kick over. It doesn't really matter though. Our space is so much better and we're enjoying it. And that's all that matters. It's midsummer, and I have been gardening for a few months now. I picked my first beans recently. I had planted a heritage variety called the Amish Nuttall bean because the Amish grew it for generations. However, this variety originated with our ancestors, the Seneca and the Iroquois. Organic beans can cost up to $8 a kilo in the store. It sure is satisfying to know that a big part of my dinner is in my own backyard. Meanwhile, in northern Manitoba, our gardens are doing great. Our vegetable garden in Woboden is thriving, even though it got off to a slow start.
So Francis, it's midsummer, and for people that have a garden and maybe they're first-time gardeners, what should they be doing to maintain it?
They should be doing a lot of the weeding in around the plants, and if they have just a small garden, it would be a lot easier just to pull out the weeds by hand.
It was on this trip to Woboden that Francis shared a great tip about a natural fertilizer.
So I'm looking forward to this. This is actually a natural fertilizer, and Francis is going to give us a demonstration. So what do we have here?
Okay. What we have here is some fish, the inside of the fish, the bones and everything, and we're going to use that as the fertilizer before we plant the potatoes. And I put that in there, and then I'll get my granddaughter to cover that up with soil.
Okay.
Cover it until you can't see the fish. Then I take a potato, and I'll put the potato on top of this, and then she'll cover the potato with the soil. So what it'll do is the fish will rot there, and it'll fertilize the potato.
So Francis, did you actually catch these fish?
I got some, there's people that go out angling.
Yeah.
And I just went to them and asked them if I could have them, and then they asked me first, what are you going to use them for? I said, my garden. Your garden? What do you use it for? Fertilizer. So I explained to them on what I'm going to do. And he said, okay.
Just north of Woboden, down the highway at the Thompson Zoo, our raised garden bed is also bursting out of its box.
Okay, so it was a really, really cool and windy day when we were here 8 weeks ago when we planted this garden, and I wasn't sure what to expect, but I took a look, and look at this raised bed. It's just overflowing with stuff. And our corn is doing good. Our beans, I don't see any beans yet, but there's flowers, which is a good sign, which means the beans are coming soon. The carrots look like they're doing awesome. And let's just take a look. I'm going to pluck one out and see how it's doing. All right, look at that. A good size carrot. And then we put in our beets, and the beets look a little bit crowded, so I think I'm going to thin them out in a second. But I'm going to pull one out and see how big they are. And look at that. That's about the same size as the Woboden garden. So these are doing really good. And these also are the heritage seeds that we planted. So this is a heritage variety of carrot, and so is this beet. Our squash and pumpkins are just overflowing. So, you know, now we have many gardens to harvest, and we'll be coming back in about 3 weeks to harvest the Woboden garden and this garden. And then there's the gardens in the city, and there's the garden at the warehouse. So we have gardens, gardens, gardens. But we're gonna have a big feast, and we're gonna be bringing in a chef, and we're gonna be cooking up all this wonderful produce. So that's gonna be coming up soon on Vitality. And I better get over here and thin out my, my beets a little bit.
Coming up next, a traditional remedy for menstrual cramps and sore throats. Welcome back. We're heading out into the bush with Brenda Gaudry in northern Manitoba. But before we do that, a quick reminder that the information related to traditional plant uses described on this program is in no way to be used or perceived as medical advice. Brenda Gaudry gathers wild plants for traditional remedies.
This is a purple aster we're looking at right now, and it's good for headaches. So you'll just harvest the leaves and the flower heads and make a tea.
Today she's going to show us a remedy for menstrual cramps and a sore throat. It's made from cranberry bark and cranberry leaves.
This is a high bush cranberry right here. You can tell by the fruit and the shape of the leaves, just like 3 arrowheads. We're gonna harvest the bark off this tree today. It's actually got lots of medicinals for women's menstrual cramps. So we'll take the bark off. It's best to take it off when the sap's going, but it still has some medicinals right now. There's also a purpose for the leaves. You can also make a tea out of the leaves. Harvest the leaves and dry them. Recommend half a teaspoon per cup.
It's customary to offer tobacco before harvesting any plants, so that's what Brenda does.
So I do the offering the same for each plant. Go to the 4 directions at the base of the plant. I'd like to thank the Creator for growing this plant and making it useful for us to use as medicine. So I'll just harvest a few of the branches. All you need is the bark, so I'll just take a few branches. I'm not going to cut the whole tree down. So I'll just cut off a few branches here. So this is all I'll take here off this tree. And if I came back here in 3 years' time, every place that I cut, there'll be 2 more branches started. After I take it home, I usually peel the bark off and just keep the bark. I also dry the leaves, take the leaves off, and I dry up them on screens to make a tea. The bark is used for menstrual cramps, any kind of cramps in your stomach. We usually make it into a tea. So you use half a teaspoon of bark and put it in your pot and pour your cup of boiling water for a 1/4 teaspoon, and it's just drank. The leaves, once they're dry, you use half a teaspoon of the leaves, and the same thing, put it in the teapot, boil your water and steep it, and they're good for sore throats. You could also utilize the berries when they're in season to make jams and jellies. I think there's still a need for that, to go back to natural. If you start looking at the book, start reading, you'll find out what's out there, and it's just amazing. It's just opened my eyes to what's out there. And there's potential for anyone to learn, to harvest, to use, even for gathering food.
Well, we're heading back to Winnipeg where we're wrapping up today's show. Audrey Logan, our gardening advisor, is going to show us how to make a smudge stick that keeps mosquitoes at bay. You might recall that Audrey was using one earlier in the show when we were planting our warehouse garden. So enjoy Audrey's segment, and we'll see you back here soon for more Vitality Gardening.
Today we're going to make a mosquito stick, which I found very useful in the garden in the springtime, because at this time is when the plant's ready. So after 4 days of it resting, I gather up some of them to where you get a nice little bundle to where it fits in your hand, but not too big, because once you fold it over, it's going to double. When I double it over like this, then it makes a nice thick stick. And then as you roll it, you hold the string on the opposite way, and it'll roll itself. And then you bend it over, and with your tie that you've tied at the base, you just simply roll it along your pants. By the pressure of your hand against the thigh, you'll keep that density that you want. And then once you get closer to the top, you want to tuck your tops in. And then as you go back down, you just roll along. I found if I don't roll it, it doesn't compact enough, because the pressure between your hand and your thigh gives it that packingness. But this way it keeps that moisture in. So that way when you do light it in the spring, it's moist enough that it'll keep its hold and light, but it'll smolder and keep the mosquitoes away. And also you try and use gloves sometimes because the sage is pretty bitter if you touch your lips to it afterwards. And then you just tie it off when you meet up with the end. And then in order for it to stick into the ground in your garden, you'll end up breaking off the weaker ones, weaker sticks, and have the stronger stick to be able to place into the ground. You just take your strongest one, break off the others. And also with the string, you want to make sure you use a cotton string, so that way it burns well and isn't toxic. And there you go. Stick it in the ground, light it up in the springtime.